Hi guys, my name's Elizabeth and today I want to be a minister. So today's Sunday, so we were listening to Mike Todd and it just made me realize that I don't want to sit at a table that has full plates but is empty, and I don't want to be a silent minister. So I'm gonna be doing a few series where I'm just sharing my testimony with you about my walk with God and just how He's brought me through so many different things. And one of the first journeys that I'm gonna talk about is my journey through nursing school. And so for those who don't know, I am a labor and delivery nurse, and I also have my master's in nursing education. However, none of that came easy. And so just thinking about nursing school, like, shout out to my 3 friends who got me through, because you guys are amazing and you know who you are, and I just really appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart even till today, because they got me through some very trying moments. Nursing school is not easy, and even just like my journey to get into nursing school was like difficult. I started off at Georgia State and I lost the Hope Scholarship, and then I got it back and I transferred from Georgia State to Clayton State. And even during that process, like, you have to take the TEAS entrance exam. Like, in order to even qualify, you have to have a good GPA, you have to have taken the prerequisite for that school, and there was just so much that I felt like I didn't know, and I was already done with my prerequisites for one school, and then it was like, oh my goodness, I need to do the prerequisites to be considered for this school, or even not getting a good enough TEAS score in order to get into Clayton State, and then having to redo it again. And God got me through that and got me into Clayton State University for their nursing exam program. And I remember just going through and God's favor started immediately from that moment. I mean, it's been with me throughout my life, but just when I went to the interview and I just sat down, I'm like this little 20-something-year-old kid, and like, are you sure that this is what you want to do? Like, how do you know? You're so young. Like, how do you know that this is, where you want to be? And I remember when I got the letter and it was my brother at home, and normally when you get acceptance letters, it's like this gigantic thick envelope that's got like all this paperwork that you've got to fill out and everything. And my brother's like, yeah, it just came in like a letter envelope. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't get it. Please just open it, put me out of my misery. I'm in the car driving home, by the way, but I was just so anxious and I just needed to know. And he opened it, and of course my brother, being a jokester, thanks, opens it and goes, you didn't get in. And I'm like, oh no. And then he goes, I'm just joking, you got in. I had to pull over, and I was just like in a ball of tears, and I just remember like just saying, thank you God, thank you God. And I'm like getting emotional telling this story because it's been a journey. And I remember just being so grateful, and I was like, oh my goodness, like, God, thank you so much. And I just repeated that literally till I was able to get back on the road and drive back home. And started and was taking assessment, and I'm a bad test taker. Like, I'm terrible, and I thought I was gonna flunk out first semester. Like, it was so bad. I'd be teaching my classmates stuff, and then I'd go and take the test, and I'd get like just enough to get through, and my classmates would be like, Elizabeth, what's going on? Like, we'd be in study session and you're the one who's got this, like, this, why'd you pick this answer? And I'd explain it, and they're like, but you told us this in study session, like, what's going on? And I was like, I don't know. But I got through first semester. Then came peds, and I almost flunked peds. And I cried so much, y'all. Like, I have never cried so much in my life, because I was like, God, why are you sending me on this journey? Like, what is the purpose of this? And I just remember, like, God is not gonna tell you to start something and not see you through to the finish line. And that was one of the things that kept me going. That, and having amazing friends and amazing people that were backing me, that were praying for me. Because come last semester, I was like, Lord, where are you? Because our school made us take an exit exam, and if you don't pass the exit exam, you get an incomplete in the class. They give you 2 tries to take it, but if you don't pass the second time, you get an incomplete. And I failed the first time, and it was devastating. Like, there was just so much that went on at home with like, oh, you're not getting a party. Like, it was just a lot, and it made me feel down on myself. Like, it made me feel like I wasn't worth it. It made me feel like I wasn't smart enough. It made me feel like you know, why, like, you're putting in this work for no reason. And I want to tell you guys that sometimes the enemy will try to get in your head. Like, he wants to talk you down. He wants you to have all these negative thoughts, because then it allows him to keep you down, and you don't go out and try anything new. You don't go out and do what God has sent you to do. You don't go out and you don't live your life 100%. And you're out and you're thinking you're not good enough. You're out, you're thinking you're not smart enough. So you don't apply for that university. You don't apply for that project. You don't apply for that scholarship, because like, you've already made up in your mind, I'm not gonna get it. And so I was just like, man, like, God, why? Like, why me? Why is this happening? Like, why can't I just finish? Was I never meant to do this? Did I start this journey on my own? Did you not really send me here? And during that time, like, I had built up my faith to a certain point. I mean, I was still an infant, but I had friends who were just like, you've got this. And I entered a time of like just prayer and fasting. And I mean, my husband is one of those friends who just, he prayed for me. He was just like a big supporter of my dreams. And just, I went back and I took that test the second time and I passed. And it was like one of those things where you just like, you want to roll on the floor and like, you just want to cry, and you just like, you don't want to get up, because you just want to let God know how amazing he is. And emotional. And so after I finished school, I was like, you know what, I'm done. And for those who don't know, just finishing school is not the end of it. You still have to pass NCLEX. And so I was like, I'm taking a month off. I'm not doing anything. Like, I need a vacation. And so that's exactly what I did. I took about a month off, and then I decided that I was gonna study for a month, and then I was gonna go take NCLEX. So graduated in May, like May 10th, took the entire month of May off, and studied the entire month of June, and took my test, NCLEX, the last week in June, and I found out in July that I passed. And I mean, anyone who's ever taken NCLEX, it is the most nerve-wracking exam ever. All of my classmates were like, oh, passed at 75, passed at 75. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I remember I sat down on that day, NCLEX. I mean, I studied my butt off. And hubby always tells me, he's like, you know, once you've studied, like, you know, you've done your part, now it's time for, you know, God to do his part. Like, you just commit the rest of it into God's hands. And so that's kind of made me take on I kind of turned that around. And so now mine is, you do yours and you allow God to show up and show out for you. And I went that day and I took NCLEX, and I mean, you just walk back to your car and you're like, I don't know how I got home that day, y'all. And I remember my manager calling me and asking me to come to work, and I was like, nah, bro, I'm gonna go take a nap. So I went to sleep because I was just exhausted mentally and physically and emotionally. And for those who don't know, you can actually pay after, I think it's 24 hours for you to get like the results of your NCLEX. And also back then, anyway, you could try to re-register, and if it didn't let you, then you passed. And so I mean, I did all those tricks, and you know, it's just like that anxious feeling. Anyway, my mom paid, and all I heard was her from upstairs telling somebody, oh, Nika passed her exam. And I'm like, really? Like, I don't even get the courtesy of being the one to find out first. But anyway, it was a joyful moment. Like, I was ecstatic. I was already a nurse intern, and they offered me a full-time position as a registered nurse. And I mean, like, even till now, like, just my journey, which I'm just gonna continue to share with you guys, my testimonies. I'm so grateful because God is so amazing. Like, he blesses me in ways that, like, I don't know how he's gonna bless me. Like, I'm asking him for one thing, and in my head, I'm like this active imagination, and I'm trying to think of like all the ways he's gonna come, like which side he's gonna come from, who he's gonna use. And like, the way that he uses people is not even in any way close or remote to the ways that I have made up in my mind. And I say all this to say that don't give up on your goals, don't give up on your dreams. Anything that you're doing, even though it's not easy, it doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to accomplish it. It doesn't mean that it's an unreachable or an unattainable goal. So just keep working hard, keep putting everything in God's hands. Keep paying your tithes, because those come back to you in a way that you never even imagined. And just be ready for God to use somebody else to bless you the way you've blessed others. Have a great day.